right, so what we've got today is something a little different. It's a green GJ2, the Green Meanie. If any of you are curious as to what the GJ2 guitars are, it's a company that was around for a few years. Grover Jackson's company. They were in Laguna Hills, California, and this was the model designed after the famous Steve Vai Green Meanie guitar that he toured on the Eat 'em and Smile tour with David Lee Roth. Grover Jackson was the founder of Jackson Guitars, and many consider him the godfather of shred guitar. So these GJ2 models are very similar to Fender Superstrats and an Ibanez. I would say they're very similar. The paint job on this is very reminiscent of how Ibanez does paint jobs on their guitar. It feels a lot like an Ibanez paint job, quite honestly. The pickups are the Grover Jackson Habanero pickups, the single coils and the humbuckers. They have a great sound. It looks like it's got a Floyd Rose 1000, excellent tremolo system, 5-way switch, volume, tone. Fretboard's a little grubby from playing it, but I like the way that it feels when they're a little bit dirty. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but I kind of keep my fretboards the way that they are. If they get really nasty, I'll clean them up, but I try not to clean them so they're spotless. I like the way that they feel when they feel worn in. So the story has it that Steve Vai needed a guitar for the Eat 'em and Smile tour, something very aggressive. Grover Jackson lent him his personal guitar, which was the Green Meanie, and Steve Vai loved it so much he modified it and just kept working on it and got so used to it. I think Grover finally gave it to him, and it was the predecessor to the Ibanez Jem that Steve Vai came out with. I think Steve Vai was really the first person to start with an aggressive Floyd Rose tremolo system, 2 humbuckers and a single coil. I think that was kind of his thing that he sort of came up with. Let's flip this thing over and take a look at the back side real quick. Nothing too surprising, just a standard bolt-on neck, maple neck. It's got locking tuners. I always think it's funny when these companies put locking tuners on a guitar that's got a locking nut. I guess if you decided not to put the locking nut bolted down, you could use the locking tuners. But I never really understood that. I mean, you could just put regular tuners on these guitars, but so many guitars nowadays have locking tuners and locking nuts. I'm just like, that's kind of overkill. But this guitar is in great shape. I've had it for a few years. I don't play it that much. I like it, but I don't know, I just haven't really bonded with it like I have some of my Gibsons and Fenders, my Nags guitars. Nothing wrong with this. It's a great sounding instrument, but I need to start playing it more. Let's take a look at the inside. Okay, we've got the strings off of it now, and I'm going to clean it up real nice. Then we'll take this pick guard off and take a look at these Habanero pickups. And just a quick tip for anybody cleaning guitars: just be careful when you're spraying your guitar polish. Just spray it away from your coffee cup unless you want a little bit of this Dunlop 65 aftertaste in your beverage. Not recommended unless, of course, this is what you're going for with your coffee flavor. All right, so I've got the guitar cleaned up pretty good, and I've got the screws out of the pick guard. So let's take a look at these Habanero pickups. Here they are. No branding on them. These are custom wound Grover Jackson pickups. Pretty high-end stuff. Grover Jackson went from GJ2 guitars to working on guitars for Dave Friedman. So all those early Friedman guitars that were put out were in collaboration with Grover Jackson. So essentially, I think Grover partnered with Friedman, and GJ2 just took a back seat, which that makes total sense, because when you can partner with a monster like Dave Friedman, I mean, you put Dave Friedman together and Grover Jackson, you've got a recipe for total success. Check that out, Slime Green. I wonder if this guitar was made that late. This might have come out right at the very tail end of GJ2 manufacturing guitars. That's interesting. The only thing I've had to do with this guitar, I had to replace the 5-way switch. This guitar was on was a floor model I bought at a Sam Ash store, and I got a good deal on it. They were closing it out, and worked out a deal as I always do. And this probably had been played a lot, so that 5-way switch had to get replaced. So I put that in there, but that was the only issue I had. One thing I cannot stand is when they put truss rod adjustments under on the back of the heel of the neck here like this. I absolutely hate having to adjust a neck like this, like that vintage style. I wish every guitar should be done like an EVH, the EVH Wolfgang's or the Ernie Ball Music Man's, where you can just put the little wrench right there and adjust your neck. That is the best. It's even better than when they're up at the headstock. But I've had a few Jacksons, and I get rid of every single one of them because I have to take the necks, loosen them up to adjust the truss rod. And I live in Tennessee, so I'm always tweaking my necks at least once or twice a year based on humidity and stuff like that. So I hate that. Cannot stand it. So maybe others don't have issues with it, but if I see a guitar nowadays that has a neck with a truss rod adjustment there, I won't buy it. If I buy used necks on eBay or wherever, if the truss rod adjustment isn't in the headstock, I pass. It's too much of a hassle. I do it myself. I guess if you bring it to other people and get them to fix it for you, that's their problem, but I don't pay for that stuff. I do it myself. So anyway, we'll get this thing strung up and we'll run it through the Fractal Axe 8 and do some shredding on it and see what she sounds like.